This episode of WDW Today is brought to you by MEI and MouseFan Travel. Free dining is back for fall, and the agents at MEI and MouseFan Travel can help you take advantage of this exciting offer. Stay at a Walt Disney World Value Resort and get Disney's quick service dining plan free. Stay at a moderate or deluxe resort and get the regular Disney dining plan at no cost. Minimum stay and park admission required, and availability is limited. Visit mousefantravel.com for more.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, May 5th, 2010, and this is episode 716 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hochberg of StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouseworld Radio. And Mike, since we missed it yesterday, I just want to say, may the 4th be with you.
And also with you.
Thank you. Also joining us on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.now. Mike.
Let's try not to look like a bunch of tourists. This isn't rocket science, people.
Oh, Muppets.
Cranium Command.
Cranium Command.
I was right.
That's right. Nice job, Mike.
Thank you. I try.
It's Wednesday. We're answering your listener questions. And we're going to start out with actually some emails from some people. If you guys recall, I think a couple of listener question shows ago, we had a question about riding on Magical Express. And a number of listeners wrote in. We won't be able to get all of them, but I wanted to read a couple of these over here because they answered the question. And that might be useful to some people out there. And the first one's from Pete N. in El Paso, Texas. He writes, I wanted to know if the Magical Express ever lets resort guests travel from a resort to the airport without a reservation. Here's why I ask. My wife and I will celebrate our 10th anniversary on a Disney cruise the last week of April, without kids. After the cruise ground transportation will take us to the All-Star Movies Resort. That afternoon, my parents will fly in and bring our kids with them so we can all visit the world together. We all have reservations on Magical Express from the airport to the resort, including my wife and I. We would like to meet our parents and kids at the airport and accompany them back. We could take a taxi, but would like to save some money by taking the free express. Do you think that it will be able to hitch a ride if we're nice to the express driver?
No.
No. Big fat no on that. Sorry, just kind of the rules and stuff, and I definitely wouldn't plan on that being your contingency plan. So, sorry about that. The email I was getting or the answer I was getting in reference to actually was Sean in Dallas wrote, I'm in the middle of listening to Wednesday's show, and just in case this isn't played for months, I heard one of the questions asked whether you could check into Magical Express from any resort to get back to the airport, or if you had to be at your resort to do it. Annette said she thought you had to be at your resort to do it, and she is correct on this. You also have to be outside at the 3-hour mark or whatever time they give you. We have a story about what went on with us last September when we were late. Something was going on with the Disney buses, big surprise, and they were just not showing up for Pop Century. We were in the loading area at the Magic Kingdom and must have seen 7 or 8 buses for every other resort but Pop Century. Well, after waiting 45 minutes, one showed up. Needless to say, we were 15 minutes late back to the resort, and you guessed it, missed our ride. Luckily, the magic of Pop Century was in full force, and the manager was incredibly nice to us. He called a cab right away and even had it ready with car seats for my 2 sons. He said we could have waited on the next express bus, but we may have missed our flight. When we tried to offer him money, but he said it was all taken care of, just remember to stay with him next time. So with saying that, I would have to say you have to be at your home resort and on time. Thank you for the report there, Sean. That's a very nice cast member, obviously, right there. Hope you write a letter about that cast member. Next email is from Brett in New Hampshire, whose Cuzzy Mickey doesn't talk about on the boards.
Hoorah.
Hoorah. And Fun Monk on touringplans.com.
Hoorah indeed.
He writes, I love the original Journey in Imagination. It was my favorite ride when I was a kid. Sadly, it's the case example of what not to do with a sponsor. Kodak has been the sponsor from the beginning. Their contract said they had to renovate it after a set number of years. When the time came, digital was booming, no one was buying film, Kodak stock was dropping, and they were laying off people left and right. Despite that Disney made them stick to their contract, Kodak scrounged up a tiny budget, and the Imagineers did what they could with it. One big issue that had to be addressed was the beginning of the ride. If you remember, the opening scene was the Dreamfinder on his Dream Machine. That scene was a nightmare to keep operating. It was very complex and had to be redesigned or removed. They removed it and shrunk the ride by a third. If you've ever wondered why the queue for that ride goes on forever, that's why. They patchworked it together. Interesting. I didn't know about that. Thank you, Brett. Next email is from Jill, JILL2813 on www.today.com. There you go, from Worcester, Massachusetts, who writes, I am due to renew my DVC discounted annual pass soon, in June actually. I will not be going to the World until October. I know I'll be getting 15 months with this renewal, but I'm wondering if the 15 months from my June renewal date or from the first time I used the new pass in October. Good luck, bro.
It's 15 months from your anniversary date.
Yep. If you weren't going until October, and what you could do is let your old pass lapse and buy a new one. But the problem with that is you're going to pay now the new pass rate, not the renewal rate. So you'll be losing some money there. So you'd have to kind of do the math if it's worth it to you. I forget how much the difference is between a new annual pass and a renewal. But if it was me, I would just take the renewal rate because you could save a few bucks.
Yep.
Next email is from Ed Gunna of McMurray, Pennsylvania. Writes, in episode 619, discounts that aren't really discounts was very interesting and enlightening. One question, where do you find discount codes? For example, for a room only and tickets.
Sometimes they're mailed out on postcards to...
Yeah, those are the PIN codes you're talking about there, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right, though. You're right. Those are some discount codes you can obviously get. It's a big discount if you can get those. Those are like the... That's like the lottery equivalent for Disney codes, because those are going to be the best codes you're going to find.
I have yet to get one.
Really?
Oh,
Well,
doesn't Mary Waring doesn't she list room codes, discount codes?
Yeah, she really.
I'll save this.
That's right, Mike. She'll list those are regular room codes. They're not as good as the PIN codes, but anyone can well, not anyone, but there's certain criteria. Usually, there's either Florida residents or almost you just have to mention the code basically, and you get it. And mousesavers.com is the site that Scopa was talking about. Mike, Scopa, have you ever gotten one of the PIN codes in the mail?
Matt, all the years and all the trips, I have never gotten. Maybe because they know they don't need to do that to get me to go down there. I don't know.
I think I've gotten it once or twice, and people, there people like Scopa who have gone down a gazillion times and never gotten them, and then you have the person who goes down one time and gets like 8 of them in the mail. And there's really there's no strategy to getting one. It seems like it's kind of like just random, and you guys haven't gotten it yet.
There may be strategy, Matt, when a cast member who's doing a survey will come up and say, do you mind if, can I ask you a few questions? And boom, 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 boom. And they take your address down, maybe. They may take your, I don't know, they may take a lot of information down. But I'm guessing that they just, they probably just pull it up from a random data file or whatever database. But, it would make sense. It would seem that there must be some rhyme or reason as to why they would pick one person over another.
Yeah. We should do a show with Annette one time. It's like everything you ever wanted to know about discount codes and talk about the PIN codes and how they work and the regular codes and everything. That might be a good show.
Who's that again?
That's the Kiss My Grits girl.
Oh, I remember her.
Annette Funicello? All right.
Next email is from Troy from Baltimore, Maryland. Writes, my mom is in the Air National Guard, and at Walt Disney World, we get discounts, including free admission and half off for the family. Now, I'm aware of the hotel resort called Shades of Green that is strictly for military family only, but do they have discounts for some of the Disney villas, including Bay Lake Tower and Beach Club? Well, Troy, I assume you're talking about military discounts for those resorts, and obviously you have the regular discounts that anybody can get. We were just talking about those, mousesavers.com as well. But there are from time to time Disney runs discounts for military personnel, but you have to check at the time. It's hard to say, oh yeah, there definitely is. But mousesavers.com is going to be the first place you're going to want to check. And the other thing is, again, if you use a Disney travel agent, they can help you with that to see what's available for you as well. And that's something that you should know about the discounts, because you never know. Maybe there's a special one floating around, or there's a group rate or something like that. So that may help you guys out. Next email is from Jeremy Muse of Sacramento, California, who runs the Disney Vacation Photos podcast. He writes, looks like I'm going to miss you by that much, but I'm hoping to catch up with you guys very soon on a next trip. On episode 621, someone wrote in about asking about using their PhotoPass card at both Disneyland and Disney World, and then getting a CD of both pictures. This can be done. Disney PhotoPass takes all the pictures on your account and burns them to a CD. My family went to Disney World in late July and Disneyland in early August. I used the same PhotoPass card at both parks. When I got home from my Disney World trip, I inputted the card into my account. Then when I went to Disneyland in August, the pictures were automatically moved to the account because this card was already associated with my account. Then I made the adjustments to the pictures and sent for the CD. All the pictures were on the CD. My only problem with the PhotoPass is that it's only 30 days. If it had been 90 days, I would have had 2 Disney World trips and 2 Disneyland trips, and that would have made the $90 well worth it. That's good to know. I didn't know that you could do that. But I guess if you can plan 2 trips to both parks within the 30-day window, you could theoretically make it work. Jeremy adds a comment on the Disney dining plan. Back when my wife and I got married, we did the premium dining plan, which included 3 meals a day and recreation. We kept track of what we spent on the plan and came out way ahead. The recreation we did, parasailing, jet skiing, horseback riding, behind the scenes tours, boating, and biking, plus our average of 2 meals a day and backstage tours well paid for the plan. Since becoming Disney Vacation Club members, we are no longer able to add this plan to our vacation. So we went to the deluxe plan, which meant we lost money with the average of 2 meals a day. The quick service meal was too little, and we had way too many meals and snacks at the end of our trip. Hard to plan quick service meals with a reservation planned ahead. You know when you're eating. So my wife and I think our, quote, dream dining plan without recreation is 2 sit-down meals a day. 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, and a snack midday. With our young kids, this would be the dream plan. Or they could just let DVC members sign up for the premium plan, and we would be happy. Great job, guys. Love having a new WDW Today episode queued up and ready to go. And on a quick side note, Len rules. Since he's not here to defend himself, I will say, no, he doesn't.
I second that.
Very good. Motion passes. Next email is from Craig Cudmore of Ottawa, Canada. Writes, hi there, everyone. Really enjoy the show. It really helps make the months between trips bearable. I have a question about touring the new Fantasyland rides. I figure if I ask it now, it'll hopefully be answered by the time the new rides open. On to my real question. On the last day of my 2-day solo birthday trip in November, my flight leaves at 1:15 p.m., and I'm trying to come up with ideas of what to do with that morning. I was thinking of taking the Fort Wilderness Segway Tour, which starts at 8:30 a.m. and is listed to do a 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour. You wrote that. I didn't put that in there. If I take this tour, will I be cutting it too close for my flight? I won't have any bags to check, but will have a rental car to return. If it's too close, any ideas that will leave the tour, if they'll let me leave the tour 30 minutes early? I don't think so. Any other suggestions you guys can offer would be much appreciated. So 8:30 and a 3-hour tour is 11:30, right? My math is right?
Right.
11:30 for a 1:15 flight. So
No.
you're done with at Fort Wilderness, Scopa at 1:15, or at 11:30 for a 1:15 flight. Is that enough time for you?
Not for me.
No, I don't think it's enough time for anybody.
Well, does he have a? How's he going to get to the airport?
He has a rental car.
You still got to drop the
Then the
car
answer
off?
is definitely
Yeah,
no.
absolutely.
Because I mean, I like to be at the airport. I like to be at the airport 2 hours before my flight because I have no idea what's waiting for me in security lines.
Right.
Just have no idea.
Matt, you just recently flew up to the north, and I remember seeing a twit pic from you saying how bad the line was.
Yeah, they decided to close off one side of it. Smart guys.
Right, but you know,
Really smart.
you can't plan that.
That's true. I mean, the thing was, before you guys said anything, I was actually going to say that would be enough time because if it's 11:30, it takes about. All right. I mean, for me, it would take about half an hour, but let's ballpark it. Let's say 45 minutes or so if you're driving cautiously because you're not familiar with the area. 11:30, 45 minutes, so that's like 12:15. Yeah, it's getting kind of close. Now you're closer to an hour before your flight, and
That doesn't account for traffic or.
yeah, you're right. And I think I agree with you guys. I think it's just going to cut it too close because you're just at that cusp of it being like okay, and I forget what that rule is, Axum's rule or whatever that thing is. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law. There you go. Thank you. I was thinking of the other one.
The Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. So in that case, I would not risk that kind of thing because you don't want to miss your flight. That's like the worst case scenario you could possibly imagine. So Scopa, he's not. So we're not recommending the tour. What would you do in his situation? Need to be flights at 1:15. What would you do on that morning?
Okay, first thing I do is I'd look for a park that has extra magic hour mornings.
Okay.
And I would go to that park. I would probably look to leave around 10:30 8:30 to 11, probably. Maybe no later than 11. I mean, if you're in there for 8 o'clock, and you can get 3 hours of stuff going on, and then take off for the airport. I would probably, depending upon which park it was. I mean, Animal Kingdom is obviously a little bit further from the airport than the Magic Kingdom, although I don't think that's that much of a difference. Maybe 5 minutes on the road. I think that got to give yourself 20 to 30 minutes to get to the airport. Got to give yourself another maybe 15 to 20 minutes just to get to security if you're checking your bags in. And by the way, I use what do they call those? I use the SkyCap all the time. What a difference. But I'd give myself an hour to get to the. I give myself an hour to get to the airport from the moment I leave the whatever theme park, and then So we're probably saying 2.5, no less than 2.5 hours from your flight to leave the theme park. But again, I'd use that extra magic hour morning guideline as an opportunity to get that extra hour in at the parks.
What about you, Newell? What would you do in the morning?
Well, if I had a 1:30, I would just see. I'm not like Mike is doing. I'm more the sleeping late. It's my last day. Maybe go out and have some breakfast at Downtown Disney or something really quick, and then mosey my way back. At that point, usually after 6, 7, or 8 days, I'm usually parked out, and I just like the leisurely roll back to the airport. Maybe spend some time at the airport. I hate. There's nothing worse than rushing to me. I hate being late. Or I hate having to look at my watch every 10 minutes to make sure that I'm on a schedule. So I tend to, my last day, make that nice leisurely stroll back, and that would drive me nuts. I wouldn't enjoy the tour because I'd be checking my watch every 5 minutes. But that's me.
I agree.
Good point. Yeah, I mean, I think take regardless of what you do, whether you're going to go for the park option, nothing wrong with the park option. Personally, I would the DisneyFoodBlog.com in me says to have one last meal. Schedule like a late breakfast, which is easier to get a reservation for. Maybe call it even a brunch. So that way you can have another great meal at Walt Disney World, and that way you're not eating the awful food they have at the airport or the lack of food they have on the airplane.
There's a Chick-fil-A at the airport, sir.
Well, unless it's Sunday.
Oh, good point.
I always fly back on Sundays.
Very
That's
good
the problem.
point.
And Chick-fil-A's always closed.
I didn't think of that. You're absolutely right.
It always works out that way, and it's so frustrating. Next email is... That's right. AJ needs to do a post about Chick-fil-A, Mike. I think that's the next thing she needs to do. Next email is from Jimmy Kenny, who writes, Jimmy from Cape Cod, Pirate Parrot on the boards. Hoo-ah! I wrote in back before about going to Star Wars weekends with my nephew a while back. I'm heading back to the world. If any of you will be around, I'm hoping that I'll be able to meet up with you, but I'll be checking Twitter. I bought a few of the U-Pinpoint Walt Disney World apps for my iPhone. Before I buy a few more, I was wondering which ones do you all recommend? Does the Unofficial Guide have an app yet? Does Lou have one? If not, which apps do you like, and which ones should I steer clear of? Any help is appreciated. I love the show and have been listening for well over 2 years.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Unofficial Guide does have an app. It's called Lines. It's free. You do have to be subscribed. Well, it's free to download the app, but you have to be a subscriber to use it. TouringPlans.com subscriber. And it's called, on my iPhone, it says WDW Lines. Shouldn't be too hard to find it on there. And of course, you can go to lines.touringplans.com, and you'll find a link for that as well. And Mr. Mangello does have an app as of now. It's although it seems to be just kind of a link to his content. Like you click, the app loads, and it's like, okay, click here to go to the site, or click here to go to the message board, something like that. It's not like there's unique content to it. Scopa, you are Mr. iPhone now. You're Mr. Apple now after being vehemently against it, that I had for years. But never mind. I digress. What are some of the best apps that you found for the iPhone?
So one that I have, and I'm not sure where I got it. It's called WDW Dining. It's basically what it does is it gives you an opportunity to, let's say you're in the parks and you're thinking, where do you want to eat? And it will allow you to, for instance, I'm looking at it right now. I'll go to the studios. I'll click on the studios, and it will give me a list of all the restaurants and all the quick service, and it will give me an idea as to what's on the menu, what they're serving, and how much it'll cost. So I like that. I like that one. I have Lens, of course. There's Steve Barrett has a Hidden Mickey's one.
That's a great app. The Steve Barrett app. That's a very good one.
Yeah, and I think I have another one called, and I'm not sure where I got this. I think I got this one from a friend. WW Today, and of course, last but not, I always save the best for last. This WW Today one just tells me who's got extra magic hours. But the one that I can't do without is Mouse World Radio. That's the one that I just can't live without, and I listen to that when I'm in the parks. I listen to it when I'm, in the airport, getting me ready for my trip. So those are the ones that I have.
I will say, by the way, Newell, and this is, in all honesty, as impartial as I can be, my wife has the Mouse World Radio app on all the freaking time.
See,
it's on all the time.
I knew I liked Marissa so much.
Nicely done, sir.
No, that's not me, but I will give Eric all the credit in the world. He did a great job with it. And what I like about it, even if it wasn't Mouse World, it's just so easy to use.
Yeah, it's really, you just click on it. It loads so much faster than Live 365, and I'm a Live 365 subscriber. When I'm on my iPhone, I just go for the Mouse World Radio app. It's so much faster.
I kind of use that one. That's like the default over Live 365 too.
Listen to it right now. I just loaded it right now.
I have two apps on my iPhone that I have. One is actually, I have to take full disclosure, it's a buddy of mine, and we kind of do some stuff together, so I'm not as impartial as I should be. But it's called WDW Tour AK. It's a Animal Kingdom app. I don't know. I never use it, but
wow.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that?
He runs a site. He runs a website about Animal Kingdom, and I try to help him where I can. And it's a very nice app, so you should check that one out. The one app that I think you should steer clear of, and I'm not sure if it's the same one. I downloaded it because I saw it was for the studios only. It's called Pixie Studios. And I downloaded it. I really did not like it. I actually made a blog post about why I really hated it, because it really doesn't add anything to me. It's just like a glorified map. And I'll link in the show notes. And by me, I mean, what's his name? We'll link to it, Aqua Viola. But you can read my full thoughts there. But I really was not a big fan of that one. So if it was me and just my advice, I don't like that. And it's called Pixie Studios, and it's produced by PixiePins.com.
And just to clarify, the app that's titled WDW Today that does charge is not released by us or anybody that has anything to do with us.
That is
Good
correct.
Point. Next email is from Kathy from Toms River, New Jersey, and writes, I'm listening to your podcast from last week, which of course is from last year, and one of the questions was about why you had to be 18 for the Keys of the Kingdom tour. We couldn't take our son on it previously, and we're told it was an insurance restriction. No one can work at Disney World who is under 18, as they aren't allowed in the utilidors. Those are those underground tunnels. This was maybe 10 years ago, so I guess that could have changed, but that's what I was told at the time. My husband and I are going to Walt Disney World in January and are taking either the Keys of the Kingdom tour or one of the backstage ones to Epcot and Animal Kingdom as well. So thank you, Kathy. That's good information. Even, maybe help somebody. Next email is from Glenn Greenow. Glenn from Meriden, New Hampshire.
Hey,
love the
Glenn.
show. Just discovered it this summer and have been hooked ever since. My family and I will be going to Disney World for 7 days. I'm thinking of dividing our time between 2 resorts. My sister, however, feels like changing resorts partway through our stay would be a hassle. Right now, we have 6 nights booked at Yacht Club. I was hoping to change a night or two to Animal Kingdom or the Contemporary. How easy does Disney make it to change resorts mid-trip? Right now, we have 6 nights booked at the Yacht Club. I was hoping to change a night or two to Animal Kingdom Lodge or the Contemporary. I mean, it's like he wants to, stay a couple nights here at the Yacht Club and then a couple nights at the other resort.
It should be pretty simple, I would think. Doesn't
Well, you have to book 2 different. You have to book 2 different reservations. That's the issue.
Right.
You can't call Disney and say, I'd like to stay a couple nights here and a couple nights there.
Well, actually, think about it. If he's breaking it in mid-vacation, now it's 3. You have the initial few days, and then the middle few days, and then the end few days.
Yeah, exactly. If he goes for 3,
right?
And that's what's frustrating about it, because you have to check out, check in, check out, check in. You have to move your own luggage. Although you can have Disney move your luggage. I've had a good experience with it. You drop your luggage off at the Bell Services in the morning at Resort A and ask them to deliver to Resort B. They'll absolutely do that for you. It's going to take a while, though. It's not going to be like a 2-hour turnaround. It's going to be a little while. Some people have had some bad problems with it. The thing with me is it's just so inconvenient. I don't know about you guys. I mean, Scova, tell me what you think. I like to be able to, when I go to my resort, to unpack and just be unpacked. Because when I'm switching resorts, even just 2 resorts in one stay, I just feel like I can't unpack because I have to pack everything back up for when we're going to leave in a couple days to go to the next resort, and then you're only there for a couple days anyway, and you have to go back home. So it's like you never got the chance. You were living out of your suitcase, so to speak.
Yeah, what you're doing is, let's say you're at a resort for about 3 days, and so what you're doing is you're taking out only 3 days worth of clothing, and you're keeping everything else in your luggage, because what you don't want to do is on those days that you're going from resort number 1 to resort number 2, you don't want to waste a lot of time. You don't want to take any time away from your touring or from your vacation. And if you unpack everything, you're going to have to repack it, and it's almost like you waste almost a half a day. So yeah, that's the only problem. I think that some people who do that will take they'll take 2 pieces of luggage, and they'll take like an overnight bag, and they'll just have that overnight bag for the first couple of days, and they'll just keep that other one just closed, and they won't even open it up. I think that the problem with this, Matt, the problem that I would have with it is my time is very precious when I'm down there, and I don't want to waste any time. And if I can get Disney to do as much of this as possible, then I'm fine with it. I just don't want to take any time away from my vacation.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just a hassle. That's what it is. I mean, I thought it was fun because Len does it all the time and say, oh, that would be interesting. But I just think it becomes a hassle more than anything. And, book another trip. Come back down, stay at a different resort. That's a better option for me. But that's just speaking from my own personal experience. Well, I think it's time for our last question of the day. And that means I will give Mr. Newell 3 emails to choose from. 1 gets read today. The other 2 get deleted.
No.
I'm just kidding. They get answered eventually.
No. That's right.
So anyway, we should do that one time. Just these are going to be deleted, and we'll read who the people are from, and then they can. Anyway, so Mr. Newell, here are your 3 options for this week.
Okay.
Brainwashing works. Please settle a marriage-ending argument and answer my difficult question.
Ooh.
A question for Scopa and Newell.
That second one sounds so urgent. But I guess it's marriage counseling is also a great thing. And let's go with the third one.
So what's your option, Mike?
Number 3.
Number 3. Well, Mike, if I select these emails before the show, and every time I do this, I think, boy, he's definitely going to pick this one. So let me tell you, and you never do. So if you ever get reincarnated as a fish, you will never. You'll be the best fish ever because you'll never actually, bite on one of those lures. So.
Well, which one did you think I was going to go for?
I thought for sure you're going for number 2.
See, I fooled you.
Last email today comes from Mike Fess of Rochester, New York.
Mike. Hiya, Mike.
Writes, I was wondering if any of you remember when Space Mountain used to have TVs in the ride loading area that used to give you space news.
Yes.
I vaguely remember this from when I was in a college program cast member back in the spring of '99, Frontierland merchandise. I figured Scopa would have the best memory of this, and Newell might actually have the audio of this. Also, I think it would be a cool episode if you guys can reminisce about current rides and how they have changed over the years. Of course, with the amount of shows you have done, I'm sure this would have been done by now. Matt, it was great meeting you Marathon Weekend this year for the All About the Mouse Jungle Cruise meet. Well, I think I've blabbed enough for now. As always, keep up the good work on the show. So do you guys remember that?
I remember
Crazy
that
Larry
more,
here.
but those things are so outdated by now. I'll tell you, I can remember the first time I rode Space Mountain. All they had was a little chain for a seatbelt, and you were in like a little pillbox. And I can remember being in the queue line back then, and there were these televisions to keep you occupied, little tiny screens, and they were all well and good and entertaining. But by the mid '80s, late '80s, early '90s, it was time to change that.
Matt, was he
Newell,
talking about the...
Am I crazy or is it on a Mouse World Radio?
Well, if it's recent, it's the Space Mountain Satellite Q show, which is
Mission
this.
Control. Please bear with us.
Yep.
Your ship is being prepped for launch.
Crazy
Should be
Larry.
ready to go soon. Since you're about to blast off into deep space,
You remember Crazy Larry?
You probably want to know what's going on around the galaxy.
And the FedEx
Channel
commercials.
surfing
Yeah.
on our
If that's the one he's talking about,
satellite
that's this
and see
one.
if I can pick up a newscast for
And
you.
I do play that on Mouse
You're
Radio.
watching the UFO Network. Stay tuned for My Favorite Earthling.
Now, Crazy Larry was also the voice of Roger Rabbit.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That was, that one's classic, and you can hear it on Mouse World Radio. It's usually on, I think, in the afternoons or something. But we do remember that one. And that I prefer that. I wish they would bring that back. That was such a great element of the queue because the loop was so long. That's what's great about it.
Well, it certainly made the wait a lot less stressful because you're watching the TV. Because don't forget, it was so dark in that area, so the TVs kind of drew your attention to them. And
you had no choice. Otherwise, you're going to stare at the stars going by. And,
yeah.
You know,
and I mean, but you know what I kept doing? Countless times I would, bump into the person in front of me because I'm watching the TV and not paying attention where I was going. But I think when FedEx pulled out, I think they dropped those screens, soon after because they weren't there that long.
Yeah, that's really the TV news thing. That is such an example of something that I wish Disney would really go back to, that element of theme, because it's such a rich element to it, and it makes for such a interesting experience. Something that I really thought added so much to it. I mean, what they've done now in Space Mountain, the queue is just, it's
just there. And it's
when you go over there's nothing over there in that area. This was the TVs. You only saw the TVs in the area once you passed the tower, so you were in like the queue where you were kind of near the ride load. That's where the TVs were.
Right. In the what do they call that? Like with the corral.
Right, in the switchbacks in that area, not like in the really long queue that's all the way down, and you saw spinning, stuff and 3D stuff.
No, they changed that, and there's some interactive things that. Well, last time I was there, they were in place, but they weren't turned on yet. So I'm assuming they're on by now. But the TVs were actually in the load corral on both sides.
Right.
And Crazy Larry.
Love Crazy Larry.
He's the best.
Well, that's it for us today. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes or send us your comments, visit the WDW website at wdwtoday.com. Also, very quickly, the Reunion 2010 website is active. So go check it out. You can start registering. Schedule coming out soon. But check it out at reunion.wdwtoday.com. Go check that out. Register. Let us know that you'll be in attendance. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.
Hello, it's Crazy Larry here for Crazy Larry's used spaceship and satellites. Hey, are you in the market for a used spaceship? I've got them all. I've got rockets, saucers, thrusters, and boosters. I've got photon drives, neutrino drives, all right here under one roof. We've got Explorers, Scouts, Vanguards, Redstones, Saturns, Titans, imports, exports, alien ships, all with low mileage and ready to blast off the lot.
This episode of WDW Today is brought to you by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Free dining is back for fall, and the agents at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel can help you take advantage of this exciting offer. Stay at a Walt Disney World Value Resort and get Disney's quick service dining plan free. Stay at a moderate or deluxe resort and get the regular Disney dining plan at no cost. Minimum stay and park admission required, and availability is limited. Visit mousefantravel.com for more.